A seemingly perfect marriage, a forbidden affair, and a chilling obsession that led to cold-blooded murder. How far can love and betrayal drive someone to cross the line? Join us as we uncover the shocking truth behind Andrew Hart's twisted actions. Welcome to True Crime Documentary Cases, where we take you deep into the world of betrayal, raw emotions, and murder. Today we explore one of the most shocking crimes ever witnessed, a crime that shook a small, peaceful town in Canterbury, England, back in 2013. Before we continue, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're a small team of 4 bringing you these true crime stories, and your support means the world to us. What seemed like a perfect marriage turned into a nightmare. Andrew Hart, a man consumed by obsession with his wife's younger sister, Rebecca, committed the ultimate betrayal: murder. He was driven by lust, greed, and a desperate desire to control his future. For Andrew, his wife Emily, whom he had been married to for over 10 years, was no longer his companion. Instead, she became an obstacle. Rebecca, Emily's own sister, was all he wanted, and he saw Emily as standing in the way of that dream. This is the story of how one man's relentless desire for everything led to devastating choices, culminating in the murder of an innocent woman. As you listen to the twists and turns of this tragic case, ask yourself, how far would someone go to satisfy their darkest desires? Could a love once pure turn into something so dangerous that it would drive a man to kill? Andrew Hart, a 38-year-old contractor from Canterbury, appeared to be the devoted husband and father. He lived with his wife Emily, 35, and their 2 young children in a beautiful suburban home. Emily was a dedicated homemaker, always putting her family first. Together, they seemed to represent a stable, loving family. Emily's younger sister, Rebecca Jones, was 31 years old. She was everything Emily used to be: vibrant, carefree, and full of life. Rebecca often visited Andrew and Emily's house, spending time with her niece and nephew, and helping out whenever Emily needed her. But behind the happy family gatherings, something else was happening. Andrew and Rebecca were becoming more than just in-laws. For months, they were involved in a secret affair, driven by lust and forbidden desire. Andrew, eager to escape his failing marriage with Emily, saw Rebecca as his way out, a chance for a new life. Rebecca, on the other hand, was flattered by Andrew's attention. He wasn't just her brother-in-law anymore. She found herself being drawn into an affair full of lies and deceit, unknowingly setting the stage for much worse to come. At first, it seemed harmless. Rebecca had always been close to her sister, often coming over to help with the kids and have dinner with the family. But Andrew hadn't seen Emily the same way for a long time. He began to notice Rebecca. She was lively, full of energy, everything Emily no longer seemed to be. What started as friendly comments turned into something far more sinister. During one of Rebecca's visits, Andrew had his first real realization of being attracted to her. He lingered in the kitchen after dinner, talking to her, laughing at her jokes, and finding excuses to stay close. At first, Rebecca didn't think much of it. Andrew was her sister's husband, and she trusted him. But soon those casual conversations began to change. The glances lingered longer, the touches became more frequent, and before long, they were meeting in secret. The affair started slowly. Just a few stolen kisses behind closed doors, Andrew and Rebecca's affair continued in secret. Late-night phone calls, stolen moments, always careful not to let Emily suspect a thing. As their affair grew stronger, Andrew's obsession with Rebecca deepened. Emily was no longer his wife in his eyes. She was just an obstacle keeping him from the life he desperately wanted. Then things took a dark turn. Andrew started resenting Emily, seeing her as nothing more than a burden, a reminder of the life he wanted to leave behind. He wanted out, and he wanted it fast. But he knew that divorce would be messy. Emily loved their children, and she would fight for custody. Andrew couldn't stand the thought of losing his reputation, his home, and most of all, Rebecca. The more Andrew's obsession grew, the more he thought about getting rid of Emily for good. Divorce wasn't an option. He wanted a clean break, and that meant Emily had to go. Andrew began plotting. He knew Emily better than anyone. Her daily routine, her habits, even her recent fatigue. She had been feeling worn down, and Andrew saw this as an opportunity. Over the next several weeks, Andrew started poisoning Emily. He mixed small doses of poison into her food and drinks, just enough to make her feel sick but not kill her yet. Emily dismissed her symptoms, believing they were due to exhaustion from caring for the children and managing the household. But as the weeks went by, her health got worse. She was constantly nauseous and weak, struggling to keep up with daily life. Andrew played the role of the worried husband perfectly. He took Emily to doctors, insisted she rest, and even suggested she take some time for herself, all while carefully watching the effects of the poison. But Andrew was not a patient man. The poison was taking too long, and his desire for Rebecca was too much to bear. On the night of December 14th, 2013, Andrew decided he couldn't wait any longer. Emily lay exhausted in bed when Andrew entered the room, filled with a twisted determination. In a sudden, violent act, he strangled Emily to death with his bare hands. The struggle lasted only a minute, and then it was over. Emily was gone, and Rebecca was within his reach. After killing Emily, Andrew quickly staged the scene. He arranged her body to make it look like she had died in her sleep, erasing any signs of a struggle. With a steady hand and a well-rehearsed plan, Andrew made the call to 999, acting panicked and in shock. He played his part like a first-class actor. When the paramedics arrived, they found Emily lying lifeless in bed, her face peaceful, as if she had simply fallen asleep. At first glance, there was no reason to suspect foul play. Emily had been ill for months, and her death seemed like a tragic but inevitable outcome. However, as the days passed, cracks began to appear in Andrew's story. The toxicology report revealed something strange: traces of poison in Emily's system. Her doctors couldn't explain how it got there, and this led the police to get involved. As the investigation into Emily's death unfolded, detectives began digging deeper into the Hart family's lives. It didn't take long before they uncovered Andrew's affair with Rebecca. Neighbors had seen Andrew and Rebecca together, acting far too close, and friends had noticed how distant Andrew had become from Emily in the months leading up to her death. The police soon realized that Emily's death wasn't a tragic accident, it was murder. Detectives quickly zeroed in on Andrew as the prime suspect. His story had too many inconsistencies, and there were too many unanswered questions. Why had Emily fallen so ill so suddenly? Why was Andrew spending so much time with Rebecca? And why was he so quick to accept Emily's death without any questions? The police started piecing together the evidence, and before long, the case against Andrew was building up. They searched the Hart home for more clues, and what they found was damning: small vials of poison hidden in the back of a kitchen cabinet. The same poison that had been found in Emily's system. The investigation continued, and the police discovered text messages between Andrew and Rebecca discussing their affair and future plans together. Andrew's web of lies was beginning to fall apart. In the interrogation room, Rebecca finally cracked. Overcome with guilt and fear, she confessed to the affair, but insisted she didn't know Andrew had planned to kill Emily. She shared everything: how Andrew manipulated her, spoke about wanting to leave Emily, and how she had been too afraid to walk away. Rebecca's confession was the final piece of the puzzle the police needed. With enough evidence against him, Andrew was confronted, and eventually he broke down. He confessed to poisoning Emily over several weeks and admitted that he had been planning her death for months. Andrew claimed that he couldn't bear the thought of losing everything to a divorce, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. He believed that killing Emily would free him, free of his family responsibilities, the public scandal, and anything standing in the way of a future with Rebecca. In his twisted mind, murder was the simplest solution. He explained how he had waited for the poison to take its toll on Emily, watching her health decline. But when it wasn't happening quickly enough, he took matters into his own hands and strangled her. As he confessed, Andrew showed no remorse, speaking about Emily's murder as though it was just another part of his plan. His obsession with Rebecca had driven him so far that he justified killing his wife, the mother of his children, as a means to an end. The courtroom was packed with anxious spectators, all waiting for justice to be served. Once a respected member of society, Andrew now stood before the criminal court, charged with first-degree murder. His demeanor in court was chilling. He showed no emotion, as if he believed he hadn't committed a crime. The prosecution painted Andrew as a cold-blooded killer, Driven by greed and lust, they presented evidence of the poison found in Emily's system, the text messages between Andrew and Rebecca, and the timeline of events leading up to Emily's murder. The jury shuddered as they heard the prosecution describe how Andrew had meticulously planned the death of his wife. Andrew tried to manipulate Rebecca and even attempted to cover up his crime, staging the scene to make it look like Emily had died naturally. Rebecca took the stand, testifying against Andrew and revealing everything about their affair and his growing obsession. She spoke about how Andrew repeatedly talked about wanting to be with her and his frustration with Emily. Toward the end, Rebecca realized how dangerous Andrew was and tried to distance herself from him. Her testimony was raw and emotional, deeply affecting the jury. The evidence against Andrew was overwhelming, and the jury only needed a few hours to decide. They found him guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing him to life imprisonment without parole. Andrew would spend the rest of his life in prison, paying for the horrific crime he committed. The scars left behind lasted well beyond the trial. Though Rebecca wasn't legally charged with misconduct, she wasn't spared from the consequences of her involvement. Her relationship with Andrew had led to her sister's death, and her family rejected her. The community also turned its back on her, leaving Rebecca isolated. She lost everything: her sister, her lover, and the trust of her family. The pain of such a loss was unimaginable. Emily and Andrew's children faced their own heartbreak. They had to live with the fact that their father had murdered their mother, and their childhood innocence was shattered forever. The once quiet and peaceful town of Canterbury was shaken to its core. Neighbors who had admired Andrew and Emily were left with a heavy conscience, wondering how such a heinous crime could happen right in front of them. The betrayal, lies, and murder left a grim reminder of how life can change overnight due to the darkness within human nature. This tragic case reminds us how unchecked obsession, betrayal, and deceit can lead to unimaginable consequences. What began as an affair between Andrew and Rebecca eventually turned into a chain of fatal lies and murder. It wasn't just Emily who suffered. Everyone connected to their lives did. This case also serves as a reminder that there are always warning signs. Moments when things could have been stopped before they went too far. But in this case, Andrew's dark desires and obsession led him down a path of no return, leaving devastation in his wake. What do you think of this alarming case? Should Rebecca have been charged for her involvement in the affair? Could this tragedy have been avoided? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Crime Affair Exposed for more chilling true crime stories. We will continue to uncover the darkest secrets behind twisted crimes. Until next time, stay safe and vigilant. As they say, sometimes the greatest danger is closest to home. This story teaches us that unchecked obsession, betrayal, and deceit can have devastating consequences, not only for those directly involved, but for everyone around them. It highlights the importance of recognizing warning signs, seeking help for troubled relationships, and making moral choices before emotions spiral out of control. What do you think about this case? Should Rebecca have faced charges for her involvement? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and remember, sometimes the greatest danger is closest to home. From this story, we learn how unchecked obsession, betrayal, and deceit can lead to devastating consequences, not only for those directly involved, but also for innocent people around them. Andrew's desire to be with Rebecca led to the tragic loss of Emily's life, leaving her children without their mother and destroying the community's peace. This story serves as a powerful reminder that selfish desires, if not controlled, can turn a person's life upside down and harm those closest to them. It emphasizes the importance of recognizing warning signs and seeking help before things spiral out of control, as well as the value of making ethical choices to avoid causing irreversible damage to oneself and others.